my poor father was asking me all the time, why did you give up your job? What are you going to do? What do you mean you create content online? Oh my God, what happened to my smart daughter? Why do you have those 3 masters? So they don't understand, and it's hard to justify. But you know what? At one moment you have to say, screw it.
Welcome to another wonderful day with another wonderful podcast. And I'm with a beautiful woman today who's very, very intelligent and gone through great adversity. Now, I don't know much about her, and that's how I like to do it. I don't look into the person's past. I just like to have a beautiful conversation with a beautiful person. So with that said, we have Ana with us, Ana Calin, who is a guru when it comes to growing email lists, accounts, and etc. And you know what? I saw her in Substack doing some amazing things, and I could not believe it. And I said, you know what? I need to contact this lady. I need to find out what makes her tick, like I usually do with everybody. So with that said, Ana, welcome on the podcast. Welcome on the podcast.
Thank you so much. You have introduced me so wonderfully. I hope to do this a bit of justice. I'm super excited to be here. I love the format. I love already that you are trying so many new things. It's an honor. It's a joy to be here with your audience and hopefully some of mine as well, and have this conversation.
Oh, well, that's the way it should be. Collaboration is the way to go. That's how we go forward. If we collaborate all together using our skills, we can only go forward even faster. So what I'm going to do is do the boring thing that I do every time I come on the podcast. And I'm going to ask you, Ana, what do you do within your life to help people be successful? And then we'll go with the flow.
Okay, fantastic. So I love to see people grow. I think I have always been in this business of helping people grow. Right now and for this entire year, and I'll tell you why right now, I'm focusing on helping people grow on their content creation and grow multiple income streams. I think that's so important because many people, just like I did, started to at least, flirt with the idea of having a life outside their 9 to 5, or maybe changing it completely. The future of work is definitely not one in a cubicle anymore, and it's happening for some time. And we have all these wonderful content creators, whether they are at the beginning of their journey or whether they have 20 years of experience in their back, who want to do more and have so much more to say, but they struggle to really put it out there in a way that it makes sense for them. And let's face it, making sense sometimes means monetizing as well and being able to sustain that lifestyle. So I'm helping people learn what I did through my own journey, applying my own methods and my own experiences. And that means building multiple income streams, creating content online that helps them grow and helps them make sense as well. Of course on Substack, but on other social platforms as well. And especially, building a lifestyle that they love waking up to. And that's pretty much my goal and my focus.
How wonderful. I can hear the passion in your voice. Obviously, you've had to work hard to get where you got. It wasn't an overnight thing that you've got to this stage with. And how difficult was that? Where did you start off when it came to doing a business online and trying to find your footing on how to start building your own account?
Yeah, I always like to say that, this overnight success, because it's nice for people to see that, hey, I'm on Substack only for 4 months now. I don't know, from 5th of September. And it sounds so amazing, and it is amazing. I'm very grateful for what I have built here in such a short span time. But it comes also with 15 years of experience, prior to that. And I'm still learning and I'm still pivoting, because we all love that word that we learned from ChatGPT, right? I'm still changing direction and I'm still growing myself. And it has never been easy, but I wanted to make sure it's been fun. I have spent more than 15 years, actually, no, close to 15 years in the corporate world.
Uh-huh.
Moving from everything, from doing in the beginning customer service to actually
Mhm.
being in a global role, traveling the world, always doing marketing, always doing PR, always doing media, always working with clients, always working with people. And,
Uh-huh.
I had it enough at one moment. And I wanted, to have a life of my own as well. I wanted to stay with my father, who was very sick at that moment, and I unfortunately lost him too. And I'm grateful that I could stay at home and, be with him for his last couple of years. I wanted to build a life of my own because my life was in a luggage. So that was my motivation. Okay, I got promoted and then I gave up, and I was like, thank you for the promotion, now I'm leaving. Why? Because it makes sense to me. And it's been awfully hard for about a couple of years. It's been that hard that, in the beginning I had no idea what to do. And I had no idea even how to organize my time without a calendar, without an Outlook calendar. To the fact that, in order to support myself, because I was not having millions of dollars put aside, no one does that, to be honest. And I had to do Fiverr gigs for $5, to create emails and designs and things that, I had no idea I know how to do until I kind of figured it out what I wanted to do. I started to do art on the side, which has been for me, privilege. I don't know how to call it differently because I haven't painted until 6 years ago, except for kindergarten. So turning to art and learning how to paint was, I don't know, catharsis for me. It was cleaning me up. And that's kind of in the middle of all these things that I discovered that artists, first of all, who are the main content creators, are fantastic people, are some of the most fantastic and creative people I have met, and not only in painting but in music as well, in writing. But I have no idea how to sell themselves online. And if you want to make painting for a living, you have to sell yourself online. And I feel like, hey, I know kind of how to do this because that's what I did, for years in my previous job. And that's how I started, very easily, helping them out for free, of course, build a personal brand online. And, from there came the idea of maybe doing this more for other artists as well. Then I started to work with founders and helping them, SaaS creators, because I love technology as well, and helping them do that. So step by step, and I'm talking now about 4 years already, I started to create a baseline for helping people grow with a personal brand. And it started to grow from there, step by step. My first $5, then my first client of 100, then it went bigger. And that's how it still progresses. And I know I had a long answer, but I hope it was,
No,
it's honest and
it was
it's clear,
needed.
because many people wonder how this success happens.
Exactly. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, we all have to start somewhere. And what people don't understand, it's a situation where they see a lot of people that are successful, and some people say, I've made £20,000 every single month, and they make it look as if they just got online and they made £20,000 a month. And it doesn't work like that. You have to go through the pain of the mindset, first of all, which I'm sure you agree. That's the first thing. Then you've got to find out what resonates with you, and that takes all time, right? And I can see that you've already gone through a difficult journey, especially with your father. I think that was the start of the pain point where you knew that you wanted to have some more freedom to be able to spend time with your family, to have that flexibility. So if anything happens, then you have that flexibility to do what you want to do and not be dictated by anyone else. Is that correct?
Yes, that's more than correct. I missed lots of things for not making that choice earlier, and for not being able to own my time and my freedom. So even if I was making lots of money in my corporate world, and I think many people do in their jobs when they are hired, and all that money didn't mean anything without that freedom of choice, without being able to be where I wanted to be with the people who cared.
Of course.
I lost my dad, I lost lots of friends. I met my husband only when I was 35 because of the lifestyle that I had, and because, I was stuck in a job that was taking my soul out pretty much, even though I learned from it, let's face it. So lots of things, that I wish I learned earlier, but hey, I think the important thing is that I learned. and the moment I started to go on that journey, it made sense for me. And I'm not saying, okay, because I get this question a lot, I'm not saying that people should quit their jobs. Okay, I'm not saying that at all. I think that people should do only what's right for them. I know people who are still in a 9 to 5 who are thriving and have families and they are blessed, and God bless you, and do what's right for you. But you have the slightest thing of, this is not the right thing for me. There are options. There are always options, even if in the beginning their journey might seem hard.
Totally right. And I say the same thing to my clients and people that are quite close to me. The first thing I say is, much as you see people that are being successful in what they do, that may not be the right path for you. There's a million different ways to be successful, especially online. So just like we've now got the AI revolution going on, everybody's picking out every single tool that AI can give you. But again, a tool is a tool, right? It's, you just got to find out manually what works for you, organically what works for you, and then you use that tool or that method or that guru that's actually going to solve the problem of what you're trying to do manually, right? So it's very easy for people to get lost in all these different tools or all these different gurus. But remember, as much as that guru is very successful, they're successful because that path works for them. It may not necessarily be your path. So you're better off actually speaking to or fishing or actually shopping at different places, as so to speak. And then when you find something that resonates, or a guru that resonates, or a tool that resonates, then you go for it. It doesn't matter whether someone made £1 million. So this is where people just get lost. And obviously you did a similar thing where you tried different things and then you realize where you fit it, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that's such an important thing, Elijah, even today, because with my Substack, I have, and I'm going to start also Mastermind, hopefully also retreat this year. I have so many fantastic ideas that hopefully will come to life. But one of the plans, that I have with my members is to help them grow by giving them tools, by giving them even templates, by giving them webinars. So a lot of how to, if you want, so take this in order for you to grow your Substack and grow multiple income streams, However, I always put the caveat that, use this with your own touch. So, even a simple note, right, performed for me in the sense of bringing paid subscribers, let's say, right, which is the goal on Substack. It doesn't have to be the same for you. Maybe for you it will bring clarity, maybe for you to bring trust, maybe for you to bring ideas, So even if you find that someone who resonates with you, and I'm proud of the community I have, and I know that I resonate with them and they resonate with me, we are not copycats. So what works for me, it's a model. It's a template, if you want, that you need to take and tailor for your own life. And that's when you will always be successful, when you make it yours and, with what makes sense for you.
Yeah, and I think it's more so nowadays because of AI's coming to things. Everybody's going to do the copycat AI thing. So I'm going to give it about another year, another 2, where everybody sounds the same. And, they're using this audio to use their voices, and they're using ChatGPT, and it'll be samey. So I suppose you have to be unique for you to stand out from the crowd, because people buy into people, right? They don't really buy into their systems as such, but in the way that the systems are shown to them, the framework is shown, and the person that's actually shown it. So for instance, when I watch you actually interacting with people, is the way and what you say is what's helping people resonate with you, So there could be 10 people using your system, but you're the queen of growth, right? you're Anna, and
Thank
so
you.
the first thing people would do is stick with Anna. Why?
Mm.
Because Anna's trusted. The way she comes across and speaks and etc. They trust you. So I totally get that. Now, what I would like to ask you is we no, actually a lot of people don't know, but I know that you're actually neurodivergent. Is that correct?
Well, I think I am, so there must be an explanation for all of this.
ADHD. I think ADHD. So Anna is ADHD. Now, I don't know if the listeners know, but I specialize in working with neurodivergent and ADHD people, as amongst other things, because I'm neurodivergent myself. And hence the podcast is basically just working and just talking to people on the podcast with neurodivergent entrepreneurs who are very successful. Hence why Anna's here today. Now, the reason why I do these podcasts is to show no matter what your diversity is, it doesn't matter whether you have ADHD, autism, or any other problem and issue. A lot of us think we cannot go anywhere because there's something wrong with us, right?
Yeah.
And my journey is, I felt like that for years until the last two and a half years, I made some changes and I thought enough was enough. I'm not going to let anybody, if I can help it, think that they cannot achieve because they have some sort of disability or so-called whatever it is, because that's nonsense. We are born to be different for a reason, and there's a place for all of us. Hence why I asked Anna to come here to show that she has certain issues that aren't really issues. I want a better word than that. Certain gifts. Gifts. Anna.
I like that. It's better. Gifts.
You are gifted, Anna. Are you not gifted? Are you gifted, Anna?
Yes. So gifted on this,
There you are. She is gifted Anna. ADHD and everything else under the sun. So we're going to talk about this. Let's see how successful and how good she is at what she does. Yeah, she has these gifts, but the gifts weren't always easy to use. So, Anna, you now look with hindsight with the issues you have, okay? Could you just give us about 3 issues you have when it comes to your ADHD and the other gifts you have? What issues do you find within your life that give you a bit of difficulty, and then we'll take it from there?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I must say, huge thank you for bringing this up, because and maybe I should do this more. I haven't been talking about this much, and I think that like many people who face at least ADHD, all right, they are looking at what they are experiencing in their lives, and they are having this aha moment. And it's like, oh my God, that has a name. Okay, that's why I was like that. And that's the way I looked at it as well, because let's face it, before I was thinking of myself like probably someone not organized, like, who is changing her mind all the time, a bit unstable, moody, stuff like that. So let me give you a bit of a background. In my previous job, while working with clients in the corporate job, in the other lifetime, I had to be this super organized person. And that meant keeping spreadsheets and, making presentations in a certain format. And I was even certified, in project management and program management, which is really tough certification, which requires a lot of tracking and very serious, definitions and steps for everything you do. And I was dying, and the worst part is that I was so good at it, because it was such a huge challenge for me to keep my mind on one thing and to make those spreadsheets and to make things in one way, that I had to do it right. It doesn't make sense unless you are like us, then it makes sense. So, I was always promoted and pushed for Ana is one of our best program managers, and she will, make sure that you are having this best structure. And I was like, guys, please give me a break. Please make me, I don't know, paint something or do just fun presentations, because I cannot just do it in one way. So, I think it's a struggle and a challenge. If you take it as a challenge, And in my case, I never had a name for it back then, right? In my case, I knew that I am not good at things that are fixed. I never liked mathematics. Okay, I'm sorry, I still don't. Or sitting still, or having this wide space all around me, and very clean and very neat and to the point. I always needed creativity around me, and space and people, and be able to express myself and color outside the lines. So knowing I had this challenge, I had to, it was a self exercise to become better at something I was not that great at, as a way of self improvement. Maybe that's smart, maybe that's not. Maybe you should just go with what you're super good at and just do that. But in my case, it helped me learn a lot of stuff like that. Of course, it was a challenge. It was a huge challenge as well. By the way, I have my dogs as well. You have to excuse them. Sometimes they like to make sure they're heard. Another thing I think is I always have to change things. Even now, if you look at my 6-year journey of entrepreneurship, which I love, this journey I love. I moved from making art to making gigs on Fiverr and on Upwork to I've been a Forbes columnist as well, and I've been the head of their marketing group as well there, to PR, pitching for clients, to creating newsletters, personal branding. So it seems like a little chaos that, again, for me makes sense, because it's the bits and pieces that come together. And I think this is another thing. From outside, people like me or like us who have this thing of needing to do multiple things and chaoticness, if you want, look like unstable, or people who are not sure what they do in life. I mean, my poor father was asking me all the time, why did you give up your job? What are you going to do? What do you mean you create content online? Oh my God, what happened to my smart daughter? Why do you have those 3 masters? So they don't understand, and it's hard to justify. But you know what? At one moment you have to say, screw it. You don't justify, do you? And if it makes sense to you, if it makes you happy, find a partner who understands you. I think that's essential. I'm blessed for my husband, who is my number one supporter and who understands me. Find that one person, and the rest, they will have to understand. But the most important thing is that you do you, and you are happy with what you do. So I think, these are the biggest things that obviously make me a little different, and I know from others' perspective seem different and weird, but I really learned to accept them in many ways.
Yeah, I mean, we are different, and I say this almost on every single podcast. We are made to be different. It doesn't matter whether we're neurodiverse or typical. It's irrelevant. What is relevant is that we are supposed to be different. We've always got something to bring to the table. Life would be boring if it was all the same, right? And I would suggest the gift that you have, you're able to see puzzles. You're able to see certain things that are broken and fix things in a way that no one else or people that aren't like us can't understand why we do it. So hence why we have lots of different things going on, because number one, we like our life to be dynamic. We tend not to like stagnation. That's number one. I cannot stand stagnation. I like to wake up in the morning and something dynamically changing. And that's one of the reasons why we're good entrepreneurs, because you have to get used to, dynamics within the life. Yeah. And we're very gifted with that. So that's a good thing. I understand your father. He was probably scratching his head thinking, why does she do what she does? Because he didn't quite get it, because he wasn't like that. And that's totally fine. And I totally agree with that. And with that said, what I would like to ask, now you've got hindsight with the gifts that you have and the bafflement that your parents, your father had, looking way back in the days when you were a child, can you see those gifts manifesting with you at the time that were giving you so-called issues and certain? So now you've got the hindsight. to know what to look for. How far does this gift go back, and what used to happen? What kind of, from your father's point of view, my crazy Anna, why is she doing that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually never thought of it. I think a lot of my childhood, because I think that some things that define us as adults are very much embedded in our childhood. Especially, even things we were watching. Like, for example, I was watching a lot Aladdin, the cartoon, and the Beauty and the Beast, and Ariel. And my life became very much similar to some of those things, and that thing with flying on the carpet and the red hair and, the worm is, it's crazy how much these things influence us. But if I am to think about my ADHD, I think I've always been like this. Only that our parents didn't know how to label it, and maybe it was better, that they didn't label it at that moment. I was not a problematic child. Maybe it's because I am a girl, so I have always tried to study well what I did. But I never knew, if you were asking me what I wanted to become when I was a kid, for example. First, I wanted to be a ballerina. I was too fat for that. so I couldn't become a ballerina, and I figured that out in about a month. But then when the ballerina dream crashed, then I wanted to become an astronaut. So, huge differences is like, and my parents are, how did you come from ballerina to an astronaut? So,
Exactly.
What's wrong with you? And then I was playing with my brothers. I have a big brother. Cars on the carpet instead of playing with the dolls. And then I was actually studying. We have in Romania something which is called for a period of time up to high school, you differentiate between the classes that are studying mostly mathematics and physics and the ones that are studying mostly arts and languages. Okay, it's just I think they were trying to put kids into these two categories because of their affinities, but my affinity was obviously with languages. I speak like 7 languages right now, and I always adored languages, but I was always in classes with mathematics and physics, although I hated those. I hated them, and the reason why it was, I don't know, self-punishing, because I wanted to be good at it because I knew I wasn't, but my heart was into languages. So, and even at the university, my first degree, I studied languages, but I started my first job as a student. I worked for the university department doing their first website of ebooks, pretty much putting books into an ebook format, which back then was a big deal, which required technical skills. So it's crazy if I think about it. I've always been like this. Obviously, my folks never made it a problem. And they tried to educate me the best they could, and they couldn't afford to make all my whims come true, but they were steering me in the direction. Like, if I wanted to study languages, they helped me study languages. If I wanted to be in a mathematics class, they left me there, and I think, in terms of what do you want to do, which path do you want to go, like even in my last year of high school, I didn't know what career I want to make. Everyone wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer. I had no idea what I wanted to become, So they never tried to force me or push me towards something. They allowed me to find my own direction. And I think that helped because I experimented a lot. I tried a lot of things, and I've been lucky and blessed that God helped me find good people to work with, and not lose my way too much. I hope.
So when you were younger, of course, you were talking about you were flittering from one side to another, doing different things. So, what are the things when you were younger that you struggled? When you think about it now, was it, and also, did you struggle with your peers? Because for you to be different, obviously, children can be cruel, right?
Yeah.
So, did you have issues when you were at school? Did you have issues being different, and how different were you compared to the other kids? And how did that affect you? And the reason why I'm asking is to show people that we all go through these kind of things when we are different, but we still come through. We still come through strong.
I'll just let my dog come in because otherwise he'll keep on.
So the reasons why I ask these questions, listeners, is because it's not a negative thing to be neurodivergent. The only problem is trying to understand how to manage our neurodivergence from the point of view of positivity. So as I was saying, Anna, if you could just let us know, were there any problems with your peers because you were different and you were maybe a bit scatty, or maybe you didn't do things the way they would do it? I mean, how did that work out?
Yeah, I to be very honest, I never had this big pool of friends. And I think it was because of that, because I was a little different. And your kids see it, in different way. But even as adults, many people get to judge you by certain standards. And if they are not their own, or even if you get a bit ahead of them, they kind of judge you and isolate you.
Yes.
So it happened a lot during my childhood. It was not super dramatic, so nothing super bad happened, but I didn't have many friends. I had, throughout my childhood, one or two friends. I always changed places as well. That's because of my family history. So I kind of got used to, not being in a single place and having to change also friends in a manner that was hard. But I think it was a lesson that I learned early then, and when I became an adult. And I remember mostly high school actually, and then the first years of university when I was doing different things because I needed to do different things. I didn't know why. People were rather isolating, or I was not fitting the mold. How come you want to do that when you are supposed to do this? Or why do you want to do several things? Are you trying to show off? Or things like that. So I honestly learned to kind of ignore it, with the cost of not having too many close friends. Which, when you become older and wiser, you realize you don't need many friends. You need one good friend, to really, and you need God on your side pretty much. But as a kid and as a teen and as a young adult, you think you do. So it was this cost. It was this cost of being a bit judged, of being different. In my case, I think people always thought that I am trying to be different just because I wanted to be different, and show off, I guess it's a good word for it, which was hard to swallow because I was all this person of like, here's my heart, this is all me, come be friends with me, and they didn't believe it. So I guess that's it.
Well, I tell you, you make a really good point, especially when it comes to friends, because you, as you said, just one friend is all you need. And when you say about one friend, one good friend, right? Someone that you can trust. You're not going to be stabbed in the back. You're not going to be, there's not going to be this pretense. And I make sure myself, I've got very few friends within my life. And the reason being, I like peace of mind. I'm the kind of person I'll be there for them no matter what, any time of the night. And if that's going to happen, I want to make sure they're true friends. And you're in exactly the same position. You make sure you rather have quality rather than quantity, which is the same thing. You apply that in your business. You apply in your business quality and not quantity, because you understand, because of the way you've grown up and because of the things you've done within your life, you understand about the quality situation rather than the quantity, because you've had to live life from that point of view. And I suppose life has the life of hard knocks, they say, has put you in that position where, with your experience, you understand about quality. So I totally get you when it comes to the friends. I totally get you how you run your business, because as you run your whole life, be it with family and friends, you do the same thing with your business, which
No,
is
and this is
absolutely.
totally revealing for me too. Right now that I think of it, I don't want to cry. I'm emotional as well, but this is incredibly revealing for me as well. So I honestly appreciate you bringing this up, because kind of makes sense when you really think about it and you talk about
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and I can feel you, and this is why, um, when I do a podcast, I'm not straight away. I'm not interested in the business. The business, you can talk about that all day long. I can break down your business in within 10 minutes, and we can talk about depth and etc.
Yeah,
But people are going to understand this. You can have a framework all you want. You can be given a sheet in what to do in
yeah,
sequential order, but that is not what's going to make you successful. You need the two things. You need the mindset. You got to understand what it takes to get to A to Z, and also while putting the puzzles together, such as the business side of it, the framework. But the most important thing is the journey, the mindset. It's
yeah.
not the beginning and it's not the end, but it's the process and the journey. And with you and what you've just spoken about, you've spoken very briefly, because there's far more that's gone in your life. I can read between the lines. There's far more that's gone in your life, but your journey has brought you to this point of success. And if everybody can understand that they also work on their mindset while having a good mental like you when it comes to the process, they'll go very, very far. And it takes time. Some people, they can do it in weeks because something dramatic happens in their life. Other
Yeah.
people, it takes years. And that's the significant thing. So what I also want to ask is, you've had this ADHD, you struggled with certain things at school. You was isolated, and that was part of the issue that you had, but you did what you did because you do, right?
Yeah.
So you've left school, you're now coming to college, uni, etc. What things in your life that you had to deal with hindsight now, because remember, you didn't know you had ADHD. With
Yeah.
hindsight now, what things did you have to deal with that was quite difficult, quite a turmoil while you was going through the college years? Because that one thing is going through the young school age, but it's another thing when you have to turn and now you're coming world by yourself, so to speak. All right.
Yeah.
So what issues did you have to deal with there, and how did we get over them?
Yeah. Well, I think, it's been this constant need of doing much more than it was right there in front of me. And back then, I thought it had to do with the fact that I didn't know exactly what will I do in my life. Because even through uni, I didn't know, again, my best friend, my only best friend, she became a doctor. And I know her since I was in my 9th grade. And she's always been so clear about it. I want to be a doctor. I never had that realization. And I was, like jealous, if you want. It's like, how do you become so clear on what you want to do? And maybe there is something wrong with me. And most of the people around me knew what they wanted to do while I was going to the Olympics in both chemistry and French language, which are totally different. So it was this. I was studying one thing, and I told you my first degree was in applied languages in economics, which meant for me studying in depth business language for French, English, and Spanish, and applied in economics and law, which was already a lot, and you would think that I would go into a business environment, which kind of did. But on the side, I was building websites and learning HTML code and C++, and doing these projects with ebooks for the university. And in parallel to all of that, I was also looking for jobs, and I started to go into customer service back then. And I was also doing some translations during the night to actually earn some money and be able to support myself. So it was, it was very chaotic. To me, it came also with the background of my family was far away. My mom then was moving to Canada. She wanted me to go with her. I couldn't. I didn't want to leave my country. So it was all these pieces everywhere, and me somewhere in the middle trying to figuring out what the hell do I want to do with my life, and going with the flow. And to be honest, I always looked at that period of time as something I had to do in order to grow and learn and make my own journey and figuring it all out. But with what I know now about me, I know it was because of my constant need for change and do things differently. I know there were also moments, and there still are, when, especially when I know I have to do a million things, and they tell me if you do this, I just freeze, and it's like is that moment of I don't want to do anything because I have too many things to do. And or outbursts of like, if you make me do something, even if it's my idea, if you push it on me as like, hey, we have to do this live and it has to be in this format, then I will I'll burst and push it back, because it's just freezing me. It's like I cannot do this. If you're so, it's funny in a way.
Well, I tell you what, I do get you, but my situation is this: if my brain goes 9 noughts to the dozen, as my mother would say. So it was a situation, if I got loads of things going in my head, I have to get it out. If you don't work as fast as me, I go crazy, I go nutty, and then I freeze. So I get frustrated when I'm working with people and I've got 5 different things going in my head. I can do 5 different things, but I have to do it now. If I don't do it now, then it's a problem. then I freeze. Then I stop. It's exactly like that. So I've got to be careful. So I've just got to appreciate the kind of people I'm working with. And then if I'm in a meeting, and it's plenty of time I've been in a meeting, I've been in the meeting doing something, plus I've been coding, because yes, I'm from the HTML era, so I could be coding in the background or doing something with the AI, plus I could be doing a third thing, and people are in the meeting, how can you do that? Oh, we need to do A, B, and C, and I'm doing it as you speak, right? And 5 minutes later, okay, here you go. What, have you done it already? But if they stop me and say, oh, Eli, can you just stop? And then I freeze and I can't think. And it's a very strange thing, because if you freeze me, if you stop me to do one thing, I freeze, because I've got these other things going and they need to move. If they don't move, it all gets hooked up, and it's very strange. But you understand that, right?
I do. I completely
very
do.
Strange.
I do. Or when someone asks you, to explain to them how you did those 5 things all of a sudden in the same time, and that's that's for me a death sentence. It's like, or let's sit and analyze this and make a good analysis behind it, how it did.
It's true. And sometimes you usually say to people, quick, you want to say quick, move, I ain't got all day, but you don't want to be rude, so you're not rude, right? But you're thinking in your head, God, you're so slow, why? Do you know what I mean?
And then okay, I'm done, now we have to rest.
I totally get you. So it is a gift, but it's understanding how to manage the gift. Unfortunately, the majority of people see it as a negative thing. They see it as something that they can't use in their workplace. They see it as something they can't use it in their private life. It's all about managing your expectations, right? Yeah. So you know what you can and you know what you can't do. You're no different from someone that's so-called normal, typical, right? They have funny days that they can and they can't. So you manage your expectations. So if you can't do something, have no problems being honest and open, and give it to someone that's very gifted or very good at doing that can't. And you're great at doing that can. And then you go forward. And it's the same thing when you've got a team or you're working together. It's the same thing. You're in a building, in a corporate office, you have your individual jobs. Think of yourself like that, right? Yeah. You have your individual jobs. You're like a corporate office. There's the can't, so you give it to that person over there. Here's the can, so you do that. You delegate it, right? So you treat yourself like a business. All right.
Yeah.
And I think, and I am adamant every time I come when I have a conversation with someone, I'll do a podcast or I'll do a seminar. I make sure people, regardless whether you're neurodivergent or not, is that we are born to can and can't. Just manage your expectations.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And I think through your journey, you've been put in this box and you've had to force yourself to manage your expectations. And you weren't a professional at the School of Anna from the beginning, but through going through your journey, the School of Anna, actually, you got a degree in it, because now you can manage your expectations, and you apply that now in your business, hence how you're able to apply that when you're mentoring someone, because you are now gifted, because now you can see a pattern in front of you when you have a client talking to you. Then you can see patterns in what they do. Does that make sense, seeing patterns?
Yes. And does it also make sense to you, like if you are having do you have selective memory? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, definitely. Because I have a memory of a fish. What's your name, Sarah? What's your name, Sarah?
Exactly. So I always had that. That's still a big thing for me. And people sometimes think I'm rude because I have colleagues that I worked with like 3 years ago whose name I don't remember. I honestly don't remember, because I remember different things, faces, expressions, other stuff. And I have this very selective memory, even of my own life, events, But I think, the way I put this into a skill, because let's talk about that, how we take advantage of it. I thought that, okay, maybe my memory is a little weak. So I never learned by heart something. I learned the idea of it, and then I tried to develop it and make it different. Like I never was able to make a presentation that I repeated and learned. I had to be live. And then if someone just talks for a long time, or if it's a long presentation, I kind of skip, I kind of skip through it with my eyes open, and I start to think about some other stuff. And I'm able to take the key points and, visualize them and put them in my board of thought with those key points. And that's how it works for me, because now I feel like if I would fill my head with all the information that is all around, I would explode. Rather, I'm picking up stuff while I'm thinking about other stuff as well. And that's how I cope. And it's an internal process. And to be honest, I never talked about this to anyone. Except for my husband, who knows me, and he's like, okay, you are skipping me right now, aren't you? So, but that's how I cope. It happens to you.
I'll tell you how I do things. I've had bad memories since I can remember, going back to a child. I can remember back to when I was about 3 years old. And I can remember I've always had a terrible memory, which is one of the reasons why I have problems with languages. And I do have problems, even with the English language. I have quite a bad stutter, but I've taught myself to be able to focus and speak and etc. And because of the memory, and I'm blessed that I had issues being dyslexic and etc. And I'll tell you why I'm really glad I have it, is because I'm a very good conversationalist. I can have a conversation with anybody, and I'm a deep thinker. I like to understand how people tick, how people move. That reason being is because when I was younger, I found it very difficult to be able to interact with people, because I had to mask, because I felt ashamed maybe about how I couldn't remember people's names properly, how I couldn't remember things on the paper, and so on and so forth. But that was an issue. But because that was an issue, I had to find other ways to be able to interact with people. So I couldn't remember names and whatever else. But what I was good at doing, I was good at reading between the lines when someone would speak. And also I was good at reading body language so I became a great conversationalist because of it, because I couldn't have things on a piece of paper, you know,
Yeah.
to be briefed just quickly. I couldn't remember after meeting the person 2 weeks ago, do you know what I mean, what they said and how they said things. So I had to be able to have that conversation, even though I had a conversation 2 weeks ago, ask the right questions. So I was then able to have a quick conversation to follow on from what we spoke on before. Made me a great conversationist.
Yeah.
So I'm glad, even though it was difficult, and Anna, let me tell you something, it was painful, it was difficult. I had problems at school, um, galore because of it. But I was very intelligent, and I'm highly intelligent. It's just I have certain issues or certain gifts, and
Gifts.
it's brought me,
We agreed on gifts.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
how
We have
everyone
certain,
should call it.
exactly, I have certain gifts, and I'm able to have a conversation from a person who was a cleaner to a person who's head of a CEO of a company, just like that. And I treat everyone. And I think also I was blessed by having the family that I had, and also the issues that I had. I treat everyone the same way too. So not only do I have the conversation with everyone that should be, but as far as I'm concerned, is a cleaner is just as important as a CEO of a company. So when I've worked for corporate companies, I say good morning to the cleaner, and I say good morning exactly the same way to the CEO who makes millions. And if I'm not happy with the cleaner, I'm equally not happy with the director if he's pissed me off. He gets told the same way. Because we are all human beings as far as I'm concerned. We just are living our path. We're still going A to B, A to Z. We're all going from A to Z, but our path is very much different. So we have different hats at different times.
Yeah.
And that is fine. But we are all the same as far as I'm concerned. We all deserve respect. We've just got to know how to manage our time and our expectations of ourselves. And we just got to work and collaborate with each other, which is what you do.
Absolutely. And you know, you put it so beautifully, Elijah. You know, it's so beautifully said. And you know, in the end, gifts or not, I think we need to embrace who we are, you know,
Exactly.
because if you take every person on this planet, we all have our own weirdness and quirkiness and things, you know, we are all different, and that's how it should be. If we would be copycats, this world would be so boring. And you know, so what, you know, you have a short span attention, or if you cannot remember the name of the other person, you know, there are people who, you know, are having other stuff, like, you know, they see more colors than others. We are all different, and I think these skills combined, it's what makes us beautiful, and it's what making us thrive. And instead of trying to fit a certain mold, or, you know, even saying, you know, hey, I'm different, you have to be like me, or, you know, watch me, don't be like me. Instead of trying to fit that mold, beautify your own mold, you know, grow your own leaves and flowers and bloom, and, you know, make the best out of it. And that's how I try to live my life, and that's what I'm trying to tell others around me as well. Do you, you know, there isn't one single path. And what I show in my business and my personal life is how I do things and what worked for me with this caveat. This worked for me. Now, do you? If something that worked for me helps you, then fantastic. You know, use it. Here it's all of it. But however, if you need tweaks, do those tweaks. Do it yourself. And to people who are listening, because I saw many here, and you know, I have to say that everyone is so fabulous. I saw many comments falling through that are so kind, and many people resonated. Thank you, beautiful people, and never be, you know, I think shame is a big thing. Never be worried of being different. Whatever it is, you know, and we don't even have to give it a name, if I may say so. You know, I have ADHD. I might also have, I know, childhood traumas. Who cares? You know, just be you, be the best version of you every day, and don't let anyone else tell you different.
Yeah, totally. I'll just give a bit of a story. I mean, 2 years ago, I finally accepted myself. And only till then did I finally accept, was I able to do something about it. If you don't accept who you are, put up your hands and say, okay, I have this issue. It is what it is. Put everything on the table. Find out what's so-called, I want a better word, the negative, what doesn't work and what does work. All right? And accept that. Once you accept, just like anything in life, if you don't accept the situation, if you don't take responsibility, you are then not in the position to change what you need to change. So this is why it's important to accept your situation, because until you accept it, you cannot then change what is the core fundamentals of what you need to change. Because any guru or anybody can give you a system to be rich or whatever, but if you do not accept who you are, then how are you able to make those changes? Because remember, if you're not accepting who you are, it's somebody else's fault, right? And if it's somebody else's fault, if you're always blaming somebody else, then only they can fix it.
Exactly.
Because it's somebody else's fault. So not until you accept, and it's important to accept, can you then make the change. And it's still going to be difficult, but at least you've made the change so you can start the process of going forward. And another thing I want to say, it is also important to fail. Failing is the most important thing to do. And that sounds crazy, I know. Just listen to me. The reason why it's important to fail, as you can see, Anna has just shared her journey. And just like if you listen to all the other podcasts I have with the successful entrepreneurs who are neurodivergent, and some of them are millionaires, very powerful people in what they do, they all failed. You have to fail before you can be successful. It is exactly the same when you're a child or baby and you're learning to walk. Your baby doesn't stand up and start running. It doesn't work like that. Just like when you go to university, you don't instantly get the degree. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, you have to expect the process, right? You have to fail. So what I would say, not only should you accept who you are, but you should also accept failure. Because the quicker you look forward to failure, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, and the quicker you fail is the quicker you can find out what doesn't work so you can be successful. If you're scared of failing, you're not going to try what needs to be done so you can find out what doesn't work so you can be successful. Does that make sense, Anna?
Oh my God, it makes totally sense. I know so many people who are afraid to start because of fear of failure. And, failing is the best thing that can happen to you. The earlier, the better. Listen, I started my businesses after 35, I told you I met my husband at 35. So, I wasn't, this 16-year-old who is thinking about a business and, it's okay to fail. I failed at 36. I failed at 37. I still fail right now. Now, this doesn't mean you should seek failure, but it means that you need to seek action and taking that step and see how it goes. So what if it fails? You try again. The worst thing that can happen is that you finally understand and get the confirmation that this doesn't work for you. But you have a certainty, and then you move on and you try the next thing. So failure is the best thing that can happen. Let me give you another example. I invested about 2 years in LinkedIn, working with clients and with personal brands. And I never had, during these 2 years, the success that I have on Substack in just 4 months, So I consider that a failure because it's 2 years of my life invested in something that in the end didn't go further. But it's okay because I learned so much from it. And, I still met so many wonderful people who are following me here. And it's how we grow and it's how we take the next step. And another thing, Elijah, is that especially related to ADHD in this case, because now we have this awareness. It's not like back in the 90s when people didn't know a bit of what it is. And now we kind of see the symptoms all around us. Like if I meet another person who tells me, for me it's hard to remember names, or I have selective memory of some things, or I always have to change direction and try multiple things at the same time, then for me it's easy to understand that person because it resonates so much. And I think it's up to us to support each other.
Yes.
The reason why we put these labels on us, and instead of gifts we call it, hey, you have an issue, you have ADHD, or you have different kind of problem, is because we try to label people rather than helping each other out. If you know you are in a certain way, whatever way you are, then help the others feel empowered and feel good about it, and tell them, it's okay, I do the same thing, and this is how I cope with it, or this is how I go through this. Now if I would meet my 19-year-old self, who was like probably scared that she didn't know what to do in her life, and she was trying 10 different things, instead of scolding her like, hey, you're stupid, you have no idea what to do in your life, I would tell her it's okay. It's okay to try out some things. Do it this way, try it in a way that you get a result fast, so that you know where you're going next. But it's okay, So I think it's up to us to help each other. And more than telling it's okay, telling our own examples, telling how we do it, giving our own supporting hand to those people around us, because we need them all around every day. And I think that's crucial.
Yeah, definitely. The support network, I think, is really important, and we shouldn't be scared to actually put a hand out, because there's plenty of us at the end of the day to be successful. You're not trying to be Amazon, trying to reach out to everybody. There's enough of us where we just need, okay, for instance, client. How many clientels do you, if you're a coach, how many clients do you need every single month? Okay, you may need 5, right? 5 clients a month. I'm sure there's 5 neurodivergent or similar out there in the whole of the internet. You can help. And so, or to ask for help. There's plenty of us out there. So just understand, you're not isolated. And Anna's totally right. We're not isolated. We feel like we're isolated. And the reason being is because we're so down on ourselves. Because we are not normal, or we're strange, and society says this, that, and the other. So we're isolated. We have that isolating point, which is not good at all. So we need to accept, first of all, ourselves, accept also there is a network out there, and accept that we are capable of being successful, because at the end of the day, the most successful entrepreneurs out there are neurodivergent, and that's official. That's a fact.
That's official.
Totally. So let's speak more about you. So it's a situation now, you've gone through college, as you said, and that was a bit challenging, but you got through it. No matter what, you learned a lot about yourself, and you went to the corporate world, and then they found out you were quite gifted in certain ways, and hence they pushed a lot of things on you. But you weren't happy. You weren't happy at all. So you spoke about how the ADHD affected you in that way, where you're very good at seeing things from a puzzle point of view, working things out to do with sheets and Excel sheets and stuff like that. But what was jarring within your business? When you was in the corporate world, what things were really, really difficult in particular that you found really, really challenging at the time?
Well, I think I while I touched upon that, let me think about it. So it was again this need of probably discovering more stuff than just one, and doing more than just my job. I told you about having the constraint of doing things in a certain way. That was always a huge challenge. I was into client interaction a lot. I was even a client representative. So sometimes when you're going to a new client and trying to gain their support, you had to pitch to them, right? So many of my colleagues and more senior colleagues were kind of memorizing things like numbers, the entire pitch. I could never do that. And people were blaming me about it because I was not fitting the mold, and I was not playing sports by memorizing things the same way. I always wanted to change jobs on the lateral as well, not only on the vertical. I wanted to learn more of the roles in order for me to understand how things go, and because of my need of probably change. And I think that sometimes, obviously, that came with the evaluation from management that maybe you don't know what you want, and you are not decided onto one focused path, which is all right, So in the end, it turned out very well for me, and especially with the decision that I made to quit and do my own journey. But I think these are definitely the key things.
Okay, and when all of this was happening, did this produce, because they were pulling you in a direction that you couldn't be pulled, or you didn't feel that you could be pulled, did it create great anxiety? How did you actually feel within yourself? Were you quite anxious when you was going to work and all those type of things? How were you feeling on a daily basis?
Yeah, of course, so there was a lot of frustration of not feeling like I have the freedom of doing things in a certain way. Probably that's the word there, frustration of not being able to do things differently. And I was doing my best, all through it. I think that the key thing here, for me at least, my learning was to not just give up and either try to do things their way or say like, I'll do just an average job because anyways I don't care and I don't like it. I always wanted to do the best I could, but there is a lot of frustration, and there's a lot of frustration when you cannot express yourself in all these ways. And it comes with the job, right? So if you're working for someone, it's inevitably this happens. Inevitably, you have to do things in a certain way. There are rules. So if you don't play by the rules, do it your own way. Have your own business.
I hear you. So, with that said, you came to a difficult point in your life. It was a crossroads, and that's your father. So you found out your father.
About my father. I'm sorry, Elijah. I really don't want to talk about my father.
Okay. All right. So that was a difficult point. So we'll move on from that. So that situation has happened, and you now wanted to go online. And you wanted to create a business so you can be more independent. You found out that, okay, father had died, that situation had happened, it wasn't nice. And you thought, right, now I have to move on, but I want some freedom within my life. So how did that start off? That was quite difficult. And that must have been quite daunting for you, because again, you was thinking, I'm all over the place. Do I know what I really want? So how did you start with that process? What did you start with? So that was the HTML programming. Where did you start from?
So I told you, right? So after about 15 years, I spent like 15 years in the corporate world doing other stuff, right? After university. So now we are talking about a long time after, when I completely, cut it and tried to move to entrepreneurship. And in my case, the decision was very sudden, because I realized, hey, I want to do this change because of my personal life being a little mess right then, and because I wanted that change so badly. So I went ahead, that's how I make most of the big decisions. It has to be a feeling of, it feels right for me, without necessarily a safety net. And I just took that decision and went ahead. I met my husband during that period, which was for me the lifeline, because he saved me. He pretty much helped me come to the safe line and bring back the light in my life at that period of time. But I just jumped into that decision. Okay, I didn't say and think about it a lot, not even financially. I just made that decision and moved into entrepreneurship. And I told you, I tried a million different things in the beginning, like from Fiverr gigs to newsletters to branding. I told you about, my artistic journey as well, and how I interacted with the artist in order to build what I did then with my personal branding agency. And I'm still changing. I'm still pivoting. This newsletter that I'm building here is mostly because of the community that we're having around it. And I'm sure there will be changes that I will keep on making throughout this year alone as well, because it's part of my journey, and it's part of discovering who I am and what we do.
And also, you've made some plans this year. I saw a post just briefly because you was talking about doing a retreat, an art retreat.
Yeah.
That's the art side of it. So at the beginning, whoever missed it, it was a situation that you was talking about art. You love art. You've discovered it, and that's something that really resonates with you. So you've decided to get involved with doing an art retreat. So let's just take us slightly back. And how did the art come into this situation before we talk about the retreat? How did art come about within your life?
Art came just when I decided to move from corporate life to entrepreneurship. It's when I decided to, start something else. And art is a passion project. It's more like discovering my own self. And I just felt the need of doing something else. So it came as a whim rather in the beginning, to see how it goes. I even then started an art gallery. It's not my main income stream, although I sold some paintings as well. But then I realized I don't want to do it for money. I just want to do it for myself. So I found my passion project, if you want, with the time that I had in my hands. It's very dear to me because it's very personal. Of course, it's helping me in my business life as well. And it's when I paint, it's when you're in my studio right now. It's when I don't know, I'm so calm and find peace and, just find a lot of great ideas as well. And it's a fantastic moment. I think we all have our passions, whether it's sports or photography or art, whatever it is, so that's what it was for me.
Okay, so regarding the art, would you see it as a situation where it's helped you maintain your ADHD? When you feel like you're being pulled all over the place, does it help you just to settle when you need to settle, calm when you need to calm?
Definitely.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So you use it as a tool, a mechanism within your life, which you found to help towards your ADHD, where it says, oh, okay, things are too much now. It's time for me to go and do some art and settle.
I just make it randomly throughout the day. Whenever I feel like doing something else, I just, turn to art. There are days when I only paint. There are many days when I don't paint at all. For me, art means many things right now. It's not only related to ADHD, but it's mainly a way to connect to myself and express myself. And it's a catharsis. I think it's good for everyone to find their own little passion project and put their heart into it besides everything else they do, if they can. It's a cure for the soul.
No, I totally hear you. I mean, life would be very boring if you just did business all the time, right? So you need to find something that's a bit of hot and cold. You need the both. So I'm really glad you've got to that. So now you've resonated with the art and you settled with art. You're now this year trying to put a retreat so you can actually push your art further to where you want to be. So you can chill out a bit more and share that moment with other people.
So,
that's what the retreat is for, right?
It's just an idea right now, but I was talking to my community about having us doing a little more. So I'm definitely thinking about doing an art plus business retreat. And it could be definitely this summer, somewhere in a nice place. But it's just an idea for now. I think it would be nice. I think that through art combined with something else, people can really discover themselves. And, you never know what they create and what they come up to.
Well, exactly, and you've got a lot of people talking about your art because you're quite creative. So actually, when you create your posts and your creations, you've got a lot of art going around, and people have been speaking about it. So I'm glad it's working for you, and I'm glad it's working for other people. So that's good. So now, when it comes to your business, you've now got to the stage that you're using Substack at the moment, and you are rocketing. And I mean rocketing. You already know this. You're doing really well with that. And so you're helping so many people at the same time. And so many people are giving you kudos for that. So what is on your agenda going forward to keep on skyrocketing?
Well, thank you first of all for thinking I'm skyrocketing. That's really kind. I think I'll just carry on doing what I do, and for me right now is really delivering to my promise. That's my main focus, of making sure that the community that I build, and I have a wonderful community on How We Grow, is really getting the value of what I'm telling them. So there are lots of webinars going on. There are lots of posts coming up. There are lots of live shows that I'm also planning for my community. So that's my focus right now. Keep on growing together with them and helping others achieve the level of success that I'm benefiting from, because I know it's life changing, and it will be very good for them.
How can people get hold of you? How can they connect with you?
Definitely here. And hopefully that people who are joining from my team, they have to connect with you and see more of these live shows and the podcast. I'm definitely going to look through all of them. Definitely here through DM directly. Of course, if you feel like it, subscribe to How We Grow. I'd love to see you there. There's a lot of free content as well as paid content, but be part of our community. And that's the easiest way. I reply to almost all the DMs I get. If I'm not replying right away, I'll try my best to reply in time. So feel free to reach out anytime like that, directly here on Substack.
And okay, listeners, as you can hear a journey where she's had to go through the pain to learn what it takes to actually be a great entrepreneur. It took many, many years to get to this stage. It wasn't a result where she was successful overnight, but by using the tools and experience that she has, she's able to help her clients and help people en masse by using and leveraging that. Even though she's neurodivergent, it doesn't matter. The point is you have the support there. So if she resonates with you, why not have that conversation? Subscribe with her, connect with her. You can't lose anything but time. So Ana, thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for being on here. And in the meantime, listeners, subscribe, join, do all those nice things, and sayonara.